Today we are going to talk about Philip Fracassi's book, The Third Rule of Time Travel. Now, I've read his horror and have loved his horror. This is my first foray into some science fiction that he wrote. I flew through the pages. I wanted to know what was happening, what was going on. It's very strange. Follows the story of this woman named Beth. Her and her husband were working on and built a time machine, and they worked for this company called the Langan Corporation. And so a few years back, her husband had passed away. He'd been in a car accident. So she's been working on this by herself, and a lot of her staff has been let go. And they're getting to this point where, like, funding is not what it used to be because, like, she used to have a full staff, and now it's just her and this one other guy working on it. The thing about the machine is it's not how one might think it might work. The person doesn't actually physically travel, their mind travels. And let me tell you the 3 rules of time travel. So, rule number 1, travel can only occur at destination points during the previous lifetime of the traveler. These destination points are random. Rule number 2, the traveler has only enough energy to maintain contact with the arrival world for approximately like 90 seconds. And rule number 3, the traveler has no ability to interact with the world that they've traveled to. They can only observe. Okay, so, and the way that they travel, so there's this whole lab, it's this Langan Industries and whatnot, and in this building, it's very secure. There's a lot of security, you have to have certain clearance to get wherever. And so the way they travel is there's this like bed that you lay on and they strap you in, and then there's this laser that does something with the negative energy that opens up like a wormhole and allows your consciousness to travel to a point in time. And in the beginning, they think it's kind of random. And it seems like when Dr. Darlow travels, she travels to a lot of very traumatic points in time that happen to her life. Like, you come to the story and she's re-experiencing when her whole family died in a plane crash, which was very traumatic. As she continues to travel, she keeps returning to these points in time where people have died that are just like insanely traumatic. So they start to think, okay, maybe these aren't necessarily random. Maybe it's like a strong emotional response that's sending you there, that pulls you to these moments in time. So, obviously she works for this corporation. So you have this guy, Jim Langan, who heads up the place, and they do all kinds of other stuff too. But what's weird is the one day Beth comes in and this guy, Jerry, is being escorted out, and he's from this department, like neural prosthetics, which apparently they thought was doing really well. He is being let go, and then Jerry kind of like flips on her and like says something about how it's all her machine's fault, it's sucking them dry and whatnot. And then he is escorted off the property. And so she's like, what the F? It seems like as she finds out more, not just Jerry was fired, but the whole department, like 60 people were let go. And so now she kind of gets a feeling that like her boss wants to maybe fire her as well, because Jerry kind of like warned her and gave her like maybe a little bit of food for thought and is like, you think you're safe? No, no one's safe. You're next. And so she has that in the back of her mind, and she's like, Jim needs me to do this, that, and the other. But it's like, well, once he has what he wants, which she doesn't quite know what that is because she's so focused on the time travel and like the whole premise of this, that she's not maybe seeing like the other devious bad uses that this could be put to and whatnot. So anyways, she finds out that monetarily they're not doing so well. And so Jim has decided they're going to have a reporter come in and actually interview her about the time machine so that investors will be like, holy crap, time travel, this, that, and the other, and want to invest. And so they'll have more money to continue on the project. But the problem with this is like, because of this happening and with the interview, like, it sends Beth to travel again, and much too soon, because before she would travel and then she would take some time, because it takes a big mental toll on you every time you go because it's your consciousness is traveling. She has to like rapid fire time travel, and it really messes her up. And the thing too is that every time she would travel, they would ask like these same set of questions to make sure, nothing had changed with time and whatnot. And so, well, I mean, what do you think happened? So if you don't want any spoilers, stop watching now. This is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, but not really. If you've read any kind of time travel stories, you kind of know it's coming, right? You know it's coming. Something changes that is quite devastating in Beth's life. And she starts to question, like, is maybe there's a greater being or entity out there that doesn't want her to time travel and is punishing her by sending her to these really traumatic points. At this point, she starts to find out more stuff, and then she gets some information that she maybe hadn't had that was withheld from her, and she may have to try to travel under the radar and trying to fix what had happened. Also learning about like how her husband, he had traveled 7 times, but he kept some stuff from her, and you find out more about what that was. So I said I like his horror more, but that's just personal preference. I just love horror. Sci-fi, I read a little bit here and there. I read more fantasy, I think. But yeah, I really did like this. I like the premise. I like the characters. I liked the tone. I liked the way that the time travel was presented. I thought that was quite fascinating. Yeah, if you like Philip Fracassi, if you like sci-fi, I would definitely recommend this. Now, if you're super hardcore, you might maybe be a little nitpicky about some of the stuff with the time travel, but me personally, I'm not. So I enjoyed it and had a good time with this book. So if you enjoyed hanging out today, hit that subscribe button, come back, see me again, and we'll talk about more bookish things and weird stuff.